All right, you guys, good morning. I'm really sorry that I'm coming on here live today. Um, but I've learned that this kind of information, you've got to get it out quick and fast for multiple reasons. Information like the information we're going to share today literally could put people's lives at risk who are on the front lines trying to get this information out. So the best way to protect ourselves is to get the information out right away so that, the powers that be can't either erase the information and then erase us or, basically erase us with none of the information getting out. So that's what we're doing here today on Saturday. Typically, we don't do shows on Saturday, but I'm going to show you some very rare footage from a different vantage point, a new angle of Charlie Kirk, the back of his right head, obviously captured by cell phone footage. Now, we knew this footage was out there, but the internet had scrubbed 99% of this footage. Some of you have seen it, but most of you have not. A new angle that what I'm going to show you today appears as though there's some kind of entry wound through the head and above the right ear on the opposite side of the neck where we saw all the blood. Now, I'm not going to show you the footage, but I'm going to link it for you so you can see it yourself. I have screenshots of the footage that I put together in a mosaic. So if you see that mosaic out there, that's what we put together. I did share it in the Facebook group and my Facebook page. If you want to use that mosaic and share it to show other people, it literally, it's 3 frames, you guys, 3 frames that no one else has seen yet, because I had to slow it down to half a speed to actually see what I'm about to show you. Now, what else is going on? Well, then I'm going to prove to you that Kirk was not wearing a vest. I repeat, he was not wearing a vest. And how that kind of misinformation can intentionally hide the true nature of what we saw, because no one would suspect to look at the right side, right? Now, first of all, over the weekend that started, you guys have probably been noticing that you got notifications finally for the 2 videos that were stuck in processing. And that's why some of the videos that you saw come up in your notifications seem to be outdated. We literally went live hours after the scrutiny, and lo and behold, YouTube just so happened to start having processing problems with live shows. So it was almost as if there was foreknowledge. Now you can say, oh, well, it's because of 9/11. There's always problems on 9/11 on YouTube. And it seems intentional. They don't want a lot of people talking about all the things we talk about, the theories and things. So they'll pretend like they're having technical difficulties on these occult dates, right? So the very first video we did hours after the scrutiny, my views have shifted slightly from focusing on Charlie's past, where he was confirmed in the right-left paradigm, flashing the signs, and all these things, and meeting with all of the right-left paradigm people. And my focus now had shifted when we did yesterday's show to the final weeks of his life, in which he clearly began to criticize the country that shall not be named. A country which he once, before all this, loved and supported, hands down. You all know the country, I can't name it. And that alone should tell you everything you need to know. The fact that you can't even say the name without drawing, scrutiny, without getting canceled, tells you everything you need to know. And Charlie Kirk was 100%, not once, not twice, several times over the past 3 weeks, coming out and saying things very critical, completely different message than he did over the last several years. Now, some people are saying this is part of the PSYOP, but I disagree. Let's play 5D chess. What strategic advantage would the people who control the right-wing media have in implicating themselves in all of this by telling Charlie to pretend to speak out against them? It makes absolutely zero sense. There's no strategic advantage to telling Charlie to speak out against them when they're the ones that control the narrative of the right-wing media. I believe his conversion was authentic, and I think that they had to do something to silence him. Charlie was drawing huge crowds, and I believe that the juice clubs were the ones that gave him his platform to begin with. And there was an unwritten rule that he must always support them. And if there was ever a clue of how powerful these people are, just look at how Trump is literally condemning and going after anybody who shows any critical dialogue against them. They're attaching labels. They're calling you anti-you-know-what. And this is what I believe is going on. Now, I believe his change in the last 2 or 3 weeks was sincere. And from all the things that I've heard about him, again, I didn't follow this man, but here's how it works. And we'll get into this footage in a minute. I just want to make sure that some people get in here before we show you this. This is bombshell, you guys. The way my process works is I immediately write everybody off who is in the right-left paradigm, right? So your Joe Rogans, your Candace Owens, all these people who tell you to vote for someone, I automatically know that they're shilling for the right-left paradigm. It was nothing personal against Charlie Kirk. He wasn't on my radar. I was like, oh, here's another guy helping Trump get elected, right? But then this information came to light of all these instances recently that seemed to coincide with him leaving this earth, where he was critical. He completely changed his tune. You can't discount that. That exists on the internet. Several interviews and posts. Some of you have compiled a lot of them, and good job. So, if you truly believe that he had a true conversion, to actually start listening to his base, because they were asking him to look into these things, to press Trump on the Epstein files, and it sounded like he was starting to do that as well. And if you truly believe that, and you truly believe that he was a person who loved the truth finally, and actually cared about it, which we're hearing all this love and support, saying how great he was at combating all this misinformation and things like this, then you have to also believe that he could have finally woke up and started exposing this stuff. Now, of course, if you hadn't heard, his wife has come out and spoken, and some people are scratching their heads as she seems to be calling for what sounds like a Christian holy war, a veiled Christian holy war, saying, you have no idea what you've unleashed. And some people saw her smiling. Now, look, grief is a weird thing. I've been around people in grief. The things you'd least expect, sometimes they do. I think she's uninformed. I think she's in grief. I can only imagine what she's feeling at this moment. Imagine also she's probably in deep fear as well, if this is all real, right? Because now she's got to protect her children and her own life. And even if Charlie had conversations with her, because I'm sure he did, he seemed very close to his wife, about his changing views, right? That's something you would talk to your wife about, because the country that shall not be named is a very polarizing discussion, isn't it? So he was obviously talking to her about his changing views. He was probably also talking to her about these weird posts that were popping up claiming he was dead and all these other things. There were increased threats, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm hoping as time passes that she is able to put the puzzle pieces together of how his changing views coincided with him not being on Earth anymore. And, they're trying to pigeonhole this and get the right to believe that it was the left that did it, and Trump's pushing the narrative. Okay, so right there's a red flag. Now, first of all, some prominent tactical YouTube channels are running cover for what actually happened. Let's show you some pictures here. Let's get into this. You guys don't want to just hear me talk all day. They're now claiming, hands down, that they are 100% sure that Charlie Kirk was wearing a bulletproof body armor vest or some body armor. And I'm not going to name the channel because I don't want to, gaslight him or throw flame on him. But understand that he pulls up a thin piece of metal. Okay. First of all, a 30-06 round is I don't know, would a round bounce off of a thin piece of body armor? Let's look it up. This is unbelievable. So, first of all, he is not hands down wearing a vest. Here are some pictures, and I don't want to be crude or weird, and I want to honor if this person is actually dead. But you can literally see his nipple here on this side, which would, of course, be covered by a body armor. There is no change in his chest. You can literally see his chest all the way across. Okay? You don't see any ridge or anything here. Here you see his chest muscle again poked out in what appears to be a darker spot where his male areola is. He is not wearing a vest. It's obvious at this point. Look, you can even see his necklace outline here. Let's blow this up. Let's get down to the bottom of this. This is a necklace. You can see the string continue down under his shirt. And you can see the string continue down under his shirt on this side, down to something he's wearing around his neck. There's no change. If the armor was here, this cord, the necklace would jump over it, right? You would see a noticeable ridge here where the armor would go up. It sits on his chest, right? You can see, I can't even believe we have to do this. There's so much misinformation out there, you guys. You can see whatever's on his chest is sitting right here. Whatever's on the pendant of this. You see his chest muscle and his areola over here on the right. There is no body armor under here. You can't say that it starts up here because, again, this necklace would jump over the armor, right? You can't say that it's down here. There's no noticeable armor. Okay. Now, people that were at the event will probably tell you this. They'll be, I saw, they'll be like, when I think back, he wasn't wearing anything under his shirt other than this necklace. Now, here are some other pictures here. This is the one that I used for the screenshot. There's obviously no armor. So who is these tactical channels coming out telling you for a fact he's wearing armor? And what would be the incentive for someone to lie about that? Now, the person who said this said the bullet hit the armor at the top edge, is what he said. And he said it ricocheted and went through his neck, is the excuse we're given. Okay. Now I'm going to debunk all that as we get into this other footage. But first I wanted to talk about this vest. The tactical channel even claimed that the shrapnel, he said the reason why it looked wider. So remember all these points because it's all just covering for something else that I'm going to show you in a minute. He said that the reason why the hole was so big, which normally an entry wound is not that big, is because it was shrapnel that came off of the top of the vest, and the shrapnel is probably still inside his body, right? This was the cover story we're given. And the guy's explanation on this tactical channel was well scripted, sounded like something out of the post 9/11 interview, in which a random man on a street offered a perfectly scripted explanation of how two buildings could fall in their own footprint due to increased fire, which weakened as steel beams, caused the buildings to fall within their own footprint. How long did it take for me to find images of Kirk? There are hundreds more. On this day, you could see him lifting up his shirt. Took me 5 minutes to find these few pictures of his literal pectoral muscles popping out. Which would, of course, would exclude body armor. Unless you could say, oh, wait a minute, there's a special kind of body armor that goes up between the pectoral muscles. No. The armor covers the pectoral muscles. It's supposed to, so it can cover the heart. That's the whole purpose of it. Protect the vitals. So, now, why would a tactical channel who's supposed to know better make something like this up and convince all their followers that he was wearing a vest? Well, look at some of these channels on YouTube. This is why you have to be careful who you follow. Guy looks ex-military, could be CIA, could be FBI, YouTube plant. There are multiple reasons why someone would try to float this cover story. Now, here's what I think that they're trying to cover up. What you're going to see next is one of the only angles that exists from the opposite side of Charlie's face. This is real. This is not AI. 3 frames is all we got. Now, the footage is actually on this YouTube channel here. And as you can see, it's being highly suppressed. This is Gina Jennifer. 600 views, 0 thumbs up. Really? Actual cell phone footage from Charlie's right side. And what do we have here? Now, I'm not going to play this for you because I know some of you are traumatized by all this. So I just captured the screenshots. But what you're looking at on your screen is what's in the footage. So if you need to look at it yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. I'll put a link to it in the pinned comment as long as it stays up. But I looked at each frame. We're going to look at each frame right now. I'm going to zoom this in. I created this graphic. I didn't take this from anywhere. I brought this into a program. I captured the frames and put these yellow arrows here. Now, this footage is very rare. The internet has scrubbed all angles from Charlie's right side. They've scrubbed it. You can't find it. But it shows something very different happening here. Some kind of penetration on the opposite side of where we saw all the blood, which seems impossible. That trajectory is impossible if the screwter was from in front of him and he had a wound in his neck. That would mean, let's use our thinking caps now. Let me show you the frames first. So this is framed just before the bullet hits. Let me check in with you guys. Keep going here. Sorry. Good morning. We are early. We are on a different day. Yes. Some of you want me to play the footage. I'll do a poll, see who wants me to play it and who doesn't. Okay. And we'll go with the majority. But first, I'm just going to show you the frames. Okay. This is just before the bullet hit. Then we see this. Now compare these two. There's no black spot before the bullet hits. So what is this? And directly after this frame, we get something on the back of his head. Some kind of something. Now, the only explanation I can think of that would exclude this being his head like coming apart in an entry wound would be that little microphone that was on his right side of his chest. I suppose this could be a microphone and a wire, but let's just play the footage. Let's play it. And if this is difficult for you to watch, go ahead and look away at this point. I'm going to play it on half of a speed so you could see what I saw. Watch closely. And that's what we have. Now, when this live show plays back, you can play it at 0.25 speed and see it in even more slow motion. I guess it could have been the microphone on his chest when I think about it, but it also could be an entry wound, but something comes off of his head. And if that's the case, that means it was a completely different trajectory than we're told, because that would be an impossible trajectory if it was in front of him. So, while everybody was looking across from him, did the bullet really come from his right side? The exit wound then would have been the neck, which is why it looked a lot wider. Typically, exit wounds don't look like that, do they? Or entry wounds don't look like that. Everyone thinks that the neck was the entry wound. Well, if the neck was the entry wound, the exit wound would have been his back, right? If it was from an elevated position and it was shot through the front, then his back should have a wound in it. So, 3 frames, that's all we had, you guys. And of course, I'll link the footage to this for you guys. But this would make sense. Diversion, distraction, misdirection. Everybody looked to the front, but really everything was happening from the side. Now we'll see how all this shakes out. But what I just saw, that needs to be explained. That needs to be explained. Now, thanks to Jenna for uploading this footage. You may have just cracked the code on this. And I don't know why your video is not getting thumbs up. That's weird. I feel like Facebook is hiding the likes, and for good reason. They don't want any other scenarios out there. They want the scenario to be what they want the scenario to be, and I believe that that's what we may be looking at here. Now, let's go into which I just showed you. There's no vest. Let me show you again. There's his nipple. There's his chest muscle. There's no vest under there. Let's go back to this one here. Here's his necklace. There's the ridge of the necklace. It doesn't jump up over any object on his chest. There's his nipple. There's his chest muscles. There's no vest under there. If there was a vest, you would see the outline of this. There are many other hundreds of pictures. Not hundreds, but dozens of pictures of him on this day. There is no vest. Okay? That's a smoke screen to make you think and give you a reason why there's no exit wound. It hides the entry wound. Okay? That's what the vest theory does. It hides that there has to be an exit wound, and it names the neck wound as the entry wound and the shrapnel stuck inside of him. Okay, that's what that theory does. It's a misdirection. So let me go back into the chat, and there are dozens of videos. Let's look this up. Okay, let's just find this. Let's put this to rest. Charlie Kirk white shirt. Let's put this to rest. Let's look at all the images of him in the white shirt. Oh, see what they've done now? Now they're selling the shirt. You can't even find the images anymore. Let's take a look here. Let's look at some of these images. It's clear he's not wearing a vest. Let's do this. Let's put tools. Now here's another scenario. Ready for this? Now, this was covered on Days of Noah yesterday, so I want to give the credit to him for featuring the information that I'm about to share with you. They found a reassembled rifle. That's what they're claiming that they found. Right? And not only are they claiming they found a reassembled rifle, they're claiming that there was no rifle visible when the alleged scrooter jumped off the roof, which means he disassembled the rifle before jumping off the roof. Now, why? When he knows that everybody saw him on the roof, because they're screaming, hey, there's a guy on the roof. As he's running, why would he stop and reassemble a rifle that takes, some people estimate, an hour to reassemble that rifle, and you need special tools? He didn't even have the time to reassemble the rifle and then leave it in the woods. So explain that. So here's another image. There's obviously no vest under here. Let's look at some other images. Let's see if we can find a definitive one here that just puts all this to rest. A lot of misinformation out there, you guys. Lots. Okay, let's go through these. Jeez, now they're just selling the t-shirts and you can't even find him in the white shirt. So frustrating. The internet is dead. Just the other day, right after this happened, there were multiple images of him in this white shirt. There's one there. I will let you guys go through these images on your own, but it's clear he's not wearing a vest. With 10 minutes of research, you could probably find it. Google's probably not the best search engine because they're going to be hiding information, right? The dead internet. Let's see here. See if we can find one real quick. Let's do this. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I don't see anything. See how it's been scrubbed? Why would they take away the images of him on that day and fill it with all this nonsense? There you go. Here's the mirror. Here you could clearly see his chest muscle there, right? That is not armor. That's his chest muscle. Now, the armor that they're trying to claim that he was wearing, look, here's some more images here. I'll show you a picture of what they're saying he was wearing. Look at this. Clear chest muscle. Let's open this one up. Open image in new tab. Now, it's important we go down these rabbit holes so we can put all this to rest. There's no armor under there. Now, they're claiming that the armor is this. Let me show you. Thin body armor plate. Chest. It is somewhat contoured, but it doesn't contour to where you can actually see chest muscles. Okay. Gosh, they don't even show the one that they claimed he was wearing. It's literally, it looks like, let's see here. Looks like a plate. Anyway, we'll leave that at that. Okay, let me go back into the chat here. All right. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Sorry about that. Yes, we did a live stream on Saturday. Yeah, the ring, finally, the people got down to the bottom of that. He had a ring he fidgeted with that actually had a hinge on it that opened up. And so basically what's probably happened is that when the impact of the shot, because he kind of left the hinge open and he would open it and close it with one finger, it opened up and it looked like it was on the pinky, but it was actually, if you look very closely at some of the images, you can actually see one band on the correct finger and then it opening up onto the pinky. So Yes, you can't conceal or hide body armor completely. Exactly. And for those of you that know what body armor looks like under a shirt, you know he was not wearing body armor. So why are tactical channels trying to claim he was and making it sound all official? Because they're trying to misdirect you so you do not know that what I just showed you in that footage. Jack says that's a total lie. Okay, prove it. I just showed you 6 or 7 images. New iPhone using AI editing. Okay. Difference between what's the difference of whether or not because the people trying to push the body armor narrative are saying that is why there's only an entry wound, and that's why the entry wound is so big, because it was shrapnel that went through his neck. That's what they're saying. So they're discounting entry and exit wound, which usually is always the case with it around like that. So that's why they're pushing that narrative. Okay, what else is going on here? We have any trolls? Let's get rid of the trolls. Some say it's a blood squib. I don't know what that is. You are shilling for an event. You're a liar. Okay, that's not permitted. We're not calling names here. We're all adults. So that would be called a ad hom attack, not permitted on the channel. If you have something reasonable to say and you want to have a discussion, we can do that. Those are the rules. Even if you disagree, that's fine, but no name calling. Let's get out of the 3rd grade and come into the adulthood. All right. What else is going on, you guys? Yeah. Where's the exit wound? Now, what I'm thinking is the neck was the exit wound, but again, I can't prove that because, yep. No, she's not on YouTube. She's on Facebook. I'll put the link to that video. In fact, I'm going to do it now because who knows how long it'll be up. Because this is how the world works now. Everything gets scrubbed. Now, listen, I'm not saying 100% that what I showed you in those 2 frames had to be some kind of bullet entry, okay? What I'm telling you is that it needs to be explained, okay? And yes, it could, I suppose, be that weird black microphone that he had on his right side of his chest. Remember, I can see that popping off. But wasn't that a wireless mic? There was no wire visible from that mic that was on the right side of his chest. So therefore, that doesn't explain the other image. Let's go back to the image here. I don't know why people can't just be in the right grade when they come to the channel. Most of you guys are. Just every once in a while, we'll get a 3rd grader who just calls names. So what is this? Okay, that could be the microphone, that black dot there, right? But what's this in the back? That changed too. That's not in this frame, but it's in this frame. And obviously the mic was not wired to his chest. Now the mic is like down here. You can't see it in this frame, but let's pull it up. Let's do this justice. Charlie Kirk. Let's do this justice. Because this is very, very important. Under the tent. Okay. There was a black little microphone. And at first we didn't know what it was. We're like, what is that? And then we figured it out. There's a recording mic. And then there was the microphone he's holding in his hand. Now, I didn't know all this. You know, as information comes out, we hear more and more. But the mic in his hand was the speaking mic, and then there's a separate mic for recording, which is a little black sliver on the right side of his chest. Maybe it'll show it in this one. Gosh, the dead internet. There it is, right here. See that? Whoops. Whoa. Let's open this image. Open image. Okay. You see this little black thing here? This is a microphone. Okay. But that's a wireless recording mic. And he's holding this mic to actually speak to the audience. There's no cord attached to this that I can see. So what is this then? If this was the microphone that jumped off, what is this thing in the back of his head. That's weird. And this black dot, that's weird above his ear. Zoom in on this. Unbelievable. This looks to me like the entry wound. And when this happens, maybe it came from up above on the right, down through his neck. Is kind of what it looks like happened. It's kind of what it looks like happened. I don't know. Just a theory. Let's go back into the chat. Some people see a cord. I mean, it's possible, but you got to account for that cord. Could be the earpiece, yes. Look, we're not here to spread disinformation. We're here to look at new footage and try to figure all this out. I suppose it could be an earpiece. It all like got knocked off of his body from the impact. So some photos show a mic on the other side too. We talked about the ring a little bit earlier, Shazane. Okay. Yes, it was a hinge ring, yes. Accusing Casey of money scam, someone who never asked for donation, begs for support, or does sponsorships. I don't do sponsorships. I don't beg for support, so I don't know what that's about. What else? Yeah, the attacks are going to come, so be prepared, you guys. Those of you guys that know that come to the channel know the truth. So he was hit in the neck. He grabbed for his neck when it happened. Earpiece of Secret Service. Yeah, either way, it's disturbing. What did you... Uh-oh, we have trolls. You guys can name the trolls for me and I can handle them. Yeah, I didn't tell Rebecca I was going live today, so she's probably just hanging out doing whatever she's doing. Someone was accusing you, Casey FM. Accusing me of what? I think I just addressed that, Danelle. Call for Enterprise released a video. And this is their tactics. This is what they're going to do. You find something big and this is when the attacks come, right? So be prepared is all I'm trying to tell you. Oh, FM in the chat. Got it. Okay, FM. That's what you're saying. Got it. Okay, we'll give them another chance. As long as we can all be adults here. Ad hom attacks are not permitted. False accusations are not permitted. So, they scrubbed the footage of the bloodshot neck. I've been trying to find it. Yeah, it's some kind of op either way. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, even though she might have gotten noticed, she probably schedules, you know, because she does the moderating here for us. And so she probably just took the day off. She could be doing other things, you know. She could be out of town or something. The ring change was said to be from iPhone using AI. Yes, I understand that, Christy. And thank you for that. But understand it was a hinged ring. So imagine he's got the ring on his ring finger, but it's got a hinge that opens up to his pinky finger. So the impact of the shot, and he would fidget with it. He never had the hinge actually closed. He would open and close it with his fingers like a fidget toy. So it didn't even need to be AI generated. Essentially, it popped open and the top of the ring went onto his pinky. But the band, there's like a kind of a hidden band, but you're not going to see that in a low resolution image. You're only going to see the big head of the ring flipped open to his pinky. So you don't even need to AI that. Okay, so that's probably what happened. Look, I'm here to provide information and get through some, you know, we got to also handle some of the theories out there, make sure that they are correct, or make sure at least we're looking at it in a way that is reasonable, okay? Because we can't, you know, we don't want to sound crazy. We got to look at this from a grounded perspective. And the footage that I just showed you doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's weird. There's a whole lot of activity going on the right side of his head that seems to be unexplained. I don't claim to know exactly what it is, but it needs to be looked at. And why is the internet hiding all of that footage? Why? So, yeah, Days of Noah has done a couple of good videos on this. He and I are in agreement on this about motives and all that stuff. So, all right, what else is going on, you guys? Yeah, they were doing all the hand signals just before it all went down. Two different people standing to Charlie Kirk's right were popping off hand signals. They looked like they were on the sidelines of the NFL football game. I was like, what the heck is going on with that? I think Days of Noah showed those hand signals on his channel. So, good catch on that. Yes, the book's published on Amazon. Now, Amazon took those down, but I don't know what that was about. How do you write a whole book in hours, right? That's essentially what happened. And so there was that. Now, they could have been hoax books just to like people trying to cash in. They could have not even been real, but some of the books appeared to be predated the day before. Now, I don't know how someone could do that. Amazon is denying it, saying it was a numerical error, that it really wasn't published the day before. But that's their cover story, you know. So, sorry, Rebecca, I didn't tell you I was going to go live today, but it was kind of a last minute thing. Wow, he has a video. Call has a video saying Mossad said the world's a stage. Wow. Yeah, then there was an article saying he died in Florida on September 4th. Thanks, Mama Huggy Bear. That's a funny name. Yeah, so there's all kinds of, so those to me were like threats. They were increasing threats because he was already speaking out against the country that shall not be named. So this is how they do it. They float threats. And I've had this happen to me before from time to time. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but I'll get some weird comment that is talking about something that nobody else could possibly know in my life, right? And so they're basically saying you're being monitored, right? And I have had one death threat over the years, and I said, congratulations, you just documented a death threat, and I screen captured it. So these things do happen to us, okay? Now our channel's not big enough to where they even need to, take me out, because we're kind of small still in our truth community. Now, imagine if a Joe Rogan came out, started saying these things. They'd probably take him out. This is why they're controlled at the top. They get these threats. Sometimes their fame is given to them by the very people, and they say, okay, we'll give you some fame, but you can never speak against us. So, chaos magic. All right. Now, you guys don't have anything to worry about. This is about information and reach, all right? They come after the people with a voice. If you're simply watching these things and thumbing up videos, you don't have anything to worry about. They don't have the resources to go after millions of people, right? And I'm not saying that because I think I'm special. I'm saying that because, when you build a channel, this is what happens. You literally are putting your life on the line to tell the truth, because we're not bought and paid for by anybody, right? But then they keep us small. They're like, oh, let's use algorithms to stick the boot on your neck. And they go, how long are you going to do that? How long are you going to, struggle in life and have no friends and family and not have a lot of money? How long can you do this for? Well, those of us that are here for the right reasons will do it forever. But a lot of people won't. They're like, oh, man, I can't do this. Or their ego takes over and they're like, they get angry that they're not growing, right? And so this is why I have to constantly check myself, because we're here for a reason. No matter how much we don't grow, we're here, and we're fortunate to have a channel. We're blessed to have a channel. And so that's all that really matters. So Little Miss Issues has 2 strikes on their channel. Very little views. Yep, shadow banned. That's what happens. And it's almost impossible to start a new YouTube channel. Many of you have tried it. You have great information, but it's almost impossible. And it's not you. It's not your information. It's YouTube. They control the players. It's obvious by now. It's obvious. Now, if there are trolls, please call them out to Rebecca. Hit at Rebecca so we can clean house a little bit if there are trolls. Now, Rebecca has clear instructions. Your opinion is allowed, even if it disagrees. That's fine. But don't disrupt the chat with ad hom attacks and slander and false accusations against this channel. We're just all here having a discussion. Free speech zone. All right. Days has a new vid out. Got halfway through it this morning. We'll watch it. Yeah, he's got a couple videos out. I think he went back to back. And both videos I agree with. Now, he and I are on a little bit different page with the North Carolina thing. He thinks it's not real. I happen to think it is. But I don't like to fight and debate and bicker over if it's real or not. Or accuse people of being shills because they think it's real and I don't think it's real, okay? We had a sister came into the Facebook group and she emailed me in tears. And she said she was attacked by people in the Facebook group for giving condolences to Charlie. You guys, that's exactly what they want us to do. They want us fighting if it was real or not. So please don't do that. If someone believes it was real and they're offering condolences, don't attack that person. That's not cool. And I apologize to her that happened. And I say, in the same way that some people think it's real, we should respect the people that don't think it's real. Shouldn't be bickering about this. So, now, yeah, it certainly feels like we're standing at the gates of hell, doesn't it, Marcy? Now, we will be live tomorrow, so I'm not going to keep you guys on here too long. I presented what I needed to, got the information out there. Now, you guys could do with it what you will. And again, I'll put links to everything. But I love each and every one of you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Take care and be safe, you guys.